Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. Can I ask you, if you will, to like, share, and or comment on the post today? And then we'll be starting in the 13th verse of the 15th chapter of the book of Acts. And after uh, Paul and Barnabas have uh, given their um, explanation for preaching to the Gentiles and what God had done among the Gentiles. And then Peter had chimed in as well. The Bible says after they finished speaking, James, and this James is the author of the book of James. He was the um, half brother of Jesus, who was saved, became a believer after the resurrection of Christ, and then became a leader in the church. Stands up and says, "Brothers, listen to me. Simeon or Peter has related how God first visited the Gentiles to take from them a people for His name." And with this, the words of the prophets agree, just as it is written. Then he quotes from the book of Amos. After this, I will return and I will rebuild the tent of David that has fallen. I will rebuild its ruins and I will restore it, that the remnant of mankind may seek the Lord, and all the Gentiles who are called by my name, says the Lord, who makes these things known from of old. Therefore, my judgment, my opinion, is that we should not trouble those of the Gentiles who turn to God, but should write to them to abstain from the things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, and from what has been strangled, and from blood. For from ancient generations Moses has had in every city those who proclaim him, for he is read every Sabbath in the synagogues. What's taking place here is, I think, pretty clear. After Paul, Barnabas, Peter explained their ministry to the Gentiles and what God had done among them, James again takes the lead and stands up and says, in my opinion, what I hear and what I hear happening among the Gentiles leads me to this conclusion. We have seen and heard how God has worked among the Gentiles, and we know that that was prophesied by Amos in the Old Testament, that these things would happen. And so, my opinion is that we leave them alone. That we don't bother the Gentiles. We be thankful for these people. And I think the key really is the statement: those are the Gentiles who turn to God. They've turned to God. Who are we to trouble them? But let's write them a letter that tells them, ask them not to involve themselves. Don't eat anything. Don't be around idols. Don't anything that's been polluted by idols. Don't eat anything that has been strangled or bloody. Moses preached against this. Now, what James was saying is that was not a sin. That was not going to keep them from salvation, or by obeying it, it wouldn't give them salvation. But he was saying it's a stumbling block. It's something that the Jewish Christians will have a hard time with. They've been taught this their whole life. This is something that they believe um, very strongly in. That again, um, even though it's not wrong or not a sin, it will cause the Jewish Christians to have an issue. It'll cause them to stumble, and so let's suggest to them. Let's write them a letter and tell them to live like a believer should live. Abstain. Don't be messing around with idols. Avoid immorality. Um, Again, things that were strangled were again goes back to the Old Testament law and the dietary laws that they had. in the Old Testament. And again, um, uh, blood. People have debated whether it's talking about the blood of animals or if it means talking about murder. But either way, he says stay away from all of that um, and avoid those things. And he says again, the reason would be again, this would be very offensive to the Jews who had become believers. The rabbis preached against it, and so James says, this would make the Jews happy. This will keep the Jews from getting all upset. And so I think what we have here is some guidance for us, is a lesson that deserves some careful, I think, attention and thought still today. And that is something may not necessarily um, be wrong, but it could hinder someone else in in accepting Christ. Could hinder someone else in a young believer, immature believer. Could hinder them in their walk and their development with God. I'm making something up here completely um, for no particular reason. Um, let, us let's say it's long hair on a man. Um, that and we all know that in certain circles that's frowned on. I don't think we can find anything biblically that says necessarily that that's wrong in the New Testament church. But if it's causing someone else to be hindered in their walk with the Lord, perhaps we should consider not doing it. That's again just a made up example. In other words, the lesson I hear here from James for us today is let's be careful that our actions, our words, our deeds, our decisions are not being a stumbling block or causing someone else who is not saved, perhaps to reject the gospel, or someone who is saved to stumble in their faith. It again, and there's probably all kinds of examples we could come up with, and that may not be the best one, um, but that we're careful. Uh, wouldn't it be terrible? I think all of us would hate to know, um, that we've done something that's cause somebody to stumble in their faith or maybe not even accept faith. Wouldn't want to do that, especially if it was something that we could control, something that we could avoid. Uh, but it is something to think about. Am I doing anything uh, or any of my actions a stumbling block for someone else trying to follow Jesus? Um, Something to think about um, and give some consideration to. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.